Okay, so have you heard about this whole global AI arms race that's heating up?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's like a digital street brawl. Algorithms throwing punches.
It really does feel that way, doesn't it? And the whole world's watching.
Exactly. And, it's not just some techie competition between companies.
Right, it's way bigger than that.
It's like a full-on geopolitical showdown between the U.S. and China, really.
Yeah, with some serious implications for all of us, too, for the future.
Totally. And it's not just some far-off, science fiction scenario either. This is happening right now.
And it's going to impact all of us whether we realize it or not.
Think about it. Future jobs. What kind of world we're going to live in. Even like the balance of power on the global stage.
All of that is being shaped by who gets ahead in AI.
So to really understand what's going on here, we need to look at the two main players in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
The U.S. and China.
Yeah, they're each bringing very different strategies to the table.
Right. It's like two completely different training camps for this, like AI Fight Club. In one corner, we've got the U.S. with its emphasis on like open innovation and private sector dominance. Think Silicon Valley, big tech companies like Google and OpenAI.
That's where a lot of the action is.
That's where it's at.
And there are some definite advantages to the U.S. model, right? You've got this culture of entrepreneurship, strong research universities, and you've got these tech giants with, massive resources.
Oh, yeah, you've got deep pockets.
Yeah, and a track record of innovation.
Right. Well, yeah.
So it's a system that really encourages creativity and rapid development.
But are there any weaknesses, too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, nothing's perfect.
Right.
There are definitely concerns about ethical considerations, maybe lagging behind the speed of AI development.
Yeah, it seems like things are moving so fast, maybe ethics can't keep up.
Yeah, that's a common concern. And then there are the regulatory hurdles that companies have to jump through here in the U.S.
Right, all the red tape.
Yeah, exactly. And some critics even argue that this focus on the private sector could actually lead to kind of a fragmentation of the AI landscape, like companies prioritizing profits over long-term benefits for society.
Right, so it's like that move fast and break things mentality.
Yeah.
But in this case, the things that could break are pretty major.
Yeah, we're not talking about a buggy app here. We're talking about potentially society-altering technology.
Right. Okay, so that's the U.S. camp. Now let's hop over to the other side of the ring and see what's happening over in China. They're all about that state-backed, centrally directed AI development and a much more top-down approach.
Totally different model.
The government's playing a really big role in setting the agenda, choosing which areas to invest in.
Yeah, pouring resources into specific things.
And it seems like they've got some unique strengths, right?
Yeah, they do. First of all, they've got this clear national strategy for achieving AI dominance. It's like they've identified it as a key priority, and they're mobilizing resources on a massive scale.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
No, they're not. And then second, they have access to vast amounts of data. I mean, think about the size of China's population.
Right.
The data they generate every day it's mind-boggling. And data is like fuel for AI development, right?
It's a huge advantage.
It is.
But that brings up some obvious concerns, right?
Yeah.
Especially around privacy.
Yeah, the potential for surveillance is definitely something people are worried about. Critics of China's approach, they point to a lack of transparency about how that data is actually being used, not just for, technological development, but also potentially for social control.
And there are questions about whether this kind of top-down centralized approach can really foster the kind of creativity and free thinking that often leads to breakthroughs.
Right. Is it too rigid? Does it stifle innovation?
Yeah. It's a trade-off, for sure. Efficiency and focus on the one hand versus individual freedoms and maybe even innovation on the other.
It's tough balance.
And then there's the chip war that's been going on, too.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other layer to this.
The U.S. has been trying to restrict China's access to, like, the most advanced AI chips, especially those made by companies like TSMC.
Yeah, cutting off their access to the building blocks.
Right. It's like trying to cut off their opponent's supply line in the middle of an arms race.
It's a crucial tactic, and it shows just how high the stakes are in this competition. It's not just about algorithms, It's about the hardware, too. And this all raises some interesting questions. What do you think about these different approaches? The U.S. versus China?
Which model do you think is going to be more successful in the long run? I mean, and more importantly, which one leads to the kind of future that you would prefer to live in?
Because at the end of the day, it's not just about who wins this AI race, right?
It's about what kind of world that winner creates.
And what kind of world we all want to live in. It really is a question a lot of folks are asking, you know? And to make things even more interesting, well, there's been a new development that's kind of shaking things up. You know that anything goes feeling we were talking about?
Yeah.
Well, on Christmas Day of all days, 2024,
Wow.
a Chinese AI research lab called DeepSeek, they dropped a bombshell.
Really?
They unveiled this new AI model that some experts believe could actually rival the most advanced American systems out there.
Wait, Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Talk about stealing the show. And maybe some holiday cheer from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, right.
But seriously, what does this DeepSeek development actually mean? Is China catching up that fast?
It's definitely a sign, I think, that the AI landscape is shifting. You know, DeepSeek's emergence, it challenges that assumption that the U.S. has this unassailable lead in AI.
Right.
And it suggests that we're moving toward a more multipolar AI world, one where power and innovation aren't just concentrated in one country or region.
Okay, so instead of like one giant AI empire ruling everything,
Right.
we've got multiple AI superpowers, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, their own agendas.
Yeah.
Even it's kind of like what we see in movies like The Hunger Games, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like different districts,
Right.
each with its own unique resources, and they're all vying for control.
It's a great analogy. And just like in the Hunger Games, you know, the competition can be fierce and the alliances can be complex.
Right.
In this multipolar AI world, you know, we might see different countries or blocks even forming partnerships based on shared interests or values even. It could be a very dynamic and unpredictable landscape, that's for sure.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
And a little bit scary, honestly.
Yeah.
But before we, totally spiral into like dystopian movie scenarios,
Right.
let's bring it back down to earth for a minute and talk about something that could impact, your life and my life in a very direct way. OpenAI's Operator. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, I've been following it closely. It's one of those developments that has the potential to be incredibly beneficial, but also potentially, disruptive as well.
Okay, so break it down for us. What exactly IS Operator, and why should we care about it?
So basically, Operator is an AI tool that allows you to use just natural language to control various applications and systems.
Right.
So imagine talking to your computer like you would talk to another person, and it actually understands what you're saying and carries out your requests. It's like having, a super efficient personal assistant who just lives inside all your devices.
So instead of like clicking through menus or typing in commands, I can just be like, hey, computer, schedule a meeting with my team for next Tuesday, or like find me the best recipe for vegetarian lasagna.
Exactly.
That sounds pretty amazing,
Yeah.
and maybe a little dangerous if my computer starts judging my my culinary choices.
That's funny. You raise an interesting point there, actually, about the potential for AI to influence our decisions, even in those seemingly mundane areas like cooking. But let's focus on the positives for a second. Think about the benefits of Operator. It could dramatically increase productivity, like by automating all those little tedious, repetitive tasks that just suck up our time.
Oh, I'm all about anything that frees up more time for the fun stuff.
Right.
But wouldn't that lead to people losing their jobs if computers can just do everything for us?
That's a very valid concern, and it's one that we really need to address head on. The potential for job displacement is real, and it's something we need to be prepared for as a society. We need to be thinking about, how can we retrain and reskill workers whose jobs might be automated?
Right.
And we need to have a serious conversation about the future of work itself in this AI-powered world that's emerging.
I guess it's kind of like in that movie WALL-E.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone became so reliant on technology that they just lost the ability to do anything themselves.
Right, they just float around.
Yeah. And nobody wants to end up, like those humans just floating around in space.
Right.
But let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. Are there any other potential downsides to Operator that we should be aware of?
There are a few. I mean, one is the security issue. If Operator can control so many different applications and systems, well, it becomes a prime target for hackers.
Oh, right.
Imagine if someone malicious gained control of a system like that, the chaos they could cause. We need to make sure that these systems are incredibly robust and protected from all kinds of cyber threats out there.
That makes sense. And what about bias?
Mhm.
We've seen how algorithms can sometimes perpetuate existing biases or even create new ones.
Yeah.
Could operator make those problems worse?
It's definitely possible. Operator relies on natural language processing and machine learning. So it's susceptible to the biases that already exist in the data it's trained on. So yeah, if we're not careful, it could inadvertently reinforce harmful stereotypes or spread, misleading information.
So it's not just about building like a really powerful AI.
Right.
It's about building a fair and ethical one too.
Exactly.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is, and it brings us back to that question that we posed earlier about the U.S. versus China, and which AI model is likely to be more successful. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about technological prowess; it's about values. What kind of AI do we want to create as a species? One that reflects our best qualities, fairness, transparency, individual empowerment, or one that kind of amplifies our worst instincts?
That's a question that's worth thinking about, especially if we go deeper into this whole AI arms race. But before we get too philosophical, let's shift gears and explore another fascinating aspect of this evolving AI landscape. Remember DeepSeek, that Chinese AI lab that made headlines on Christmas? Well, they've been making some pretty bold predictions about the future of the AI industry. And it's something that I think you'll find really interesting. It's really heating up this whole AI showdown thing with the US and China battling it out. And now DeepSeek's come onto the scene, kind of shaking things up even more. It's giving me some serious Game of Thrones vibes,
Yeah, I get that. Alliances shifting, stakes getting higher.
And right in the middle of all this, we've got Operator, this tool that has the potential to change everything.
Yeah, it's a real wild card. It could make tech more accessible, easier to use for everyone,
But it comes with those challenges we talked about.
Yeah.
Security, bias, jobs.
Exactly. We need to be careful, think about how we use it. And that actually ties into what DeepSeek's been saying. They think this whole AI industry is going to be worth $1 trillion.
$1 trillion. Wow.
With a T. That's a lot of economic power up for grabs. And they don't think it'll be one country or company controlling it all.
So more like multiple AI superpowers.
Right. Each with its own way of doing things, reflecting its values. Imagine like an American operator focused on privacy, free speech.
Versus a Chinese version that's all about social harmony and state control.
Yeah. It's like we're choosing different AI futures.
And the choices we make now determine which one we get.
Exactly. We need to be talking about this, thinking about the values we want to embed in this tech, what safeguards we need, the good and the bad that can come out of it.
We need to be proactive, not just reacting to whatever happens.
I agree.
It's a lot to process, but that's what makes this so interesting, right? We're digging into the big stuff, trying to understand what's shaping the world.
And the future isn't set in stone. We have a voice. We can make choices to steer this in a direction that benefits everyone.
So what happens next in the AI story? Any predictions?
If I had to guess, I'd say the next few years are key. We'll see more competition, more breakthroughs, and tougher ethical dilemmas for sure. But I believe it's not about machines taking over. It's about humans and machines working together.
That's a good note to end on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us into the AI arms race and the operator dilemma. This is just the beginning. There's a lot more to uncover, so keep the conversation going. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll be back soon to explore more of this fascinating world.